Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wind. Here I'm playing all the holes from the second tee, giving you my best advice on how to crush the specific course that we are playing. But before we have a closer look at all the content, if you enjoy the free content here on the channel, hit the thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel and click that bell button or the notification button. For those of you that are looking to take that little extra step, you shall look for our premium guides on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You do have the link in the description down below, or you can scan the QR code. There we do have packages that ranges for all the different type of players in Golf Clash, all from tournaments to tour play to checkpoint challenge. You can find something regardless what game mode you want to improve on. You sign up, you try for yourself, and you see how we can help you become a better player in Golf Clash. Last but not least, in this playthrough, you can follow along by following the info box on the right-hand side. Club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind, those are just suggestions, so you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's a plan behind it. Let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1, if we do have any sort of tailwind, we are going to send it. If we do have a crosswind or a headwind, we're going to lay up. But no matter what way we're doing, we're going to end up either on the green or by the green. It's just going to look different. So here, using the Berserker ball, starting at around the plus 25 yard mark, using 2 right spin. And you can see here now that I'm not using any top spin whatsoever, because that's a very easy thing to do as a mistake. Thinking that, okay, there's pretty far away from the green there, I might need to use some topspin. But no, we are adjusting for the drive, and then we go max curl to the right. And even if we do hit a great right, you can see here that the ball comes in, bouncing, and it lands here for a very short wedge. And if we would be having a better rollout, we would be on the green. But what we do want to avoid here is to roll over the green into the back rough. That's just so extremely unnecessary. The wedge for display, we play this one either with max topspin, and then for those that do have then Embringer 7 or 8, play max topspin with EB School minus 35% elevation, P4 numbers. And if you play a no spin, and then we do play with a power 5 ball settings, we're playing with a power 5 ball. The no spin is in my opinion the one to be the most reliable here, because the green is a little bit bumpy, and especially if you have a longer wedge, you do have a risk of having a pretty poor ball guideline if going for the max topspin. 2 grades in a row, and we still ends up with an eagle. This one is a very forgiving par 4, which also means that if you're going to have any chance for a top spot, you're going to have to start off with an eagle on hole 1. Hole number 2, here it depends on what type of ball you want to play with. You can play with a ball that you have a lot of side spin and go for a rough bump. And you can also do play with a ball that do not have as much side spin, and you can bounce on the fairway. It's all down to personal preference what type of play you want to do here, because there is nothing wrong playing a bounce up, there's nothing wrong playing a rough bump. So 4.5 for backspin, 2 right spin, and the ball guidelines aiming right of the pin. What I need to say here is that it doesn't really matter what type of it does matter what type of wind direction you do have off tee, because that's going to somewhat determine what type of aim, what type of spins and stuff that you're going to do. So with that being said, if you do have a wind that is left to right, you will most likely not offset on the right side of the pin. But this offset here is specifically made for the wind coming right to left to counteract the push that we're getting from the wind. 10% elevation here. Don't be afraid to tweak your club distance or your elevation if you feel that would be better off for your outcome. Hole number 3, if we do have a headwind, I would strongly advise you to try to use a ball that you have as much power possible and as much wind resistance possible. Now I do understand that not everyone has a power 5 wind 3 ball, but I also know that there is a lot of people do have some either from buying but also from winning for free in the tournaments. Starting with the bullseye by the rough line, max plus 10 is adjustment, and here with the luminary ball, which is a power 5 wind 3 ball, we're going max curl, and the intention here now is to bounce on the fairway over to the other fairway and get ourselves a short iron towards the pin. Again, you can be a bit more conservative and somewhat get yourself a layup for a long iron instead, which obviously would be that you have your drive much further back. But the short iron has its benefits, as you can then play with the thorn. It allows you to play very few rings and can attack the pin there from distance. Now, you can see me doing a frame check, and that's all good. But will you always be able to do that? No, it all depends on what type of drive distance you have. It all depends on what type of play you want to do. But in this instance, we have yellow ring by the rough line using 5 bars of topspin. And we are then going to make the adjustment, which is going to be with no elevation, and it's going to be with the club distance we have either predetermined, depending on what type of dial in we have done, or it's going to be something that we do just go all by feel. A perfect ball here is going to hit the rough, and we will roll up the pin and dropping nicely for the albatross. The same thought process on hole 4 as it is on hole number 2 is either a rough bump or it's just a bounce up. We're playing here from the min line, P3 min line. I kind of enjoyed that. Like, I'm kind of what can we say? I'm somewhat in love when it comes to min lines and max lines, because it helps you being very consistent. So what I'm doing here is that I'm adding whatever spins needed to get the ball guideline just a little bit long, and also over the left hand side. Min plus 20 to adjust, so we're not adjusting that much, to be honest. However, though, don't be afraid of increasing, decreasing elevation, club distance to suit the outcome that you're getting, especially if you're using practice mode, which then can obviously be used in that way to kind of tweak what type of adjustment that you are doing. If we do well, we're getting a drop for an hole-in-one. However, though, playing from the min line with a P3 ball will not be possible when it comes to playing in a tailwind. So what you're gonna do then, you're gonna either have to use a long iron to bounce up, or you're gonna have to move back and use a rough bump. The rough bump has to be the Goliath, because you do need to have a lot of topspin. The bounce up you can play just with a standard, Goliath, Grizzly, B52, whatever you prefer. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament text guides for Expert and Master Division for the Oktober Meadows 9-hole Cup. This is a steady wins tournament, which means that we do have the same win from the start of the qualifying round to the end of the final round. If you do want to get into the action and improve your game in Expert and or in Master Division, you scan the QR code here on the screen, or you use the link in the description down below called patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Once you do sign up, you get immediate access and can start using our content. We do have the Telegram chat as well, which is our support platform if you do need any assistance or you just want to interact with fellow members. On hole number 5, we are playing down the right-hand side as the more, I would say, the conservative play and also the normal play, I would say, on this very tough par 5. If you do want to push for an albatross, I recommend to try to get over the fairway on the left, meaning that you shall bounce where we are right now, basically, but into the rough to roll out on the fairway that you can see on the top left of the game screen. You can attack the pin for an albatross if playing this way too, but you're going to have to get this ball as far up the fairway possible and be as close to the rough line on the left possible too. And that's not really going to be possible with some type of wind angles, which is also why the reason that type of shot is going to be more of a safe eagle play is really going to be the thing to think about, especially as well when you do have the headwind here on the approach, because now you're going to have to be either extremely aggressive looking for a double bounce rough bump by doing something like that, you can see, but that's going to be so extremely aggressive that, in my opinion, it may not be worth it. So what I decide, if I'm not going to go aggressive on the drive over to the left, I do lay up here on the right, and I'm then going to do a single bounce into, so I'm gonna have my first bounce on the fairway, second bounce into the rough, to then roll out onto the green or just short of the green. That allows me as well to play with free to play ball. I don't have to waste any of the good balls, and I can somewhat just look at it from my own perspective, thinking, okay, is it realistic to think that I'm gonna get an albatross here? Is that a yes? Okay, then I'm gonna obviously push more aggressive. If it's a no, I'm gonna try to take the cheapest and simplest way to get myself the eagle. On hole number 6, you do get the option to either get your drive over on the left of the middle bunker or that you do on the right. We are choosing to go left in this instance, and we are going to make an adjustment that is max plus 10. I'm gonna take the shot, and you can see that I'm using max overpower with a completely slow needle. That's a trick that you can use to get yourself a little bit more distance without having a shaky needle when you use overpower. The ball bounces consistently over here on the fairway, and we are approximately around 330 yards. You may be thinking, can I send this one? Yes, you can, but you have to have a pretty decent tailwind. But when it comes to the send it, that has become less and less of a favorite of mine. That's because it is so easy to go into the water by having a bad bounce, and it's also not that easy to get the ball to actually stop on the fairway on the other side of the water, in my opinion. Now I'm actually going for a rough bump here, and I wanted to show you this type of replay as it is on the more aggressive side, but it's also the way to give you the most consistency in terms of attacking for an eagle. But if you do want to take the more conservative route, which is, I mean, I'm not nothing against that, but what you're going to have to do then is to bounce on the fairway further back and then bounce up towards the pin. But I always want to try to show you, regardless how aggressive it is in these playthroughs, wanted to show you the best possible chance for an albatross. No elevation on the second shot, and then we bounce into the rough, roll up onto the green, and dropping for the eagle. Hole number 7, here we are starting with any type of power 4 ball. This to find min line as high up possible really. We need to have in mind that when it comes to a headwind, it's going to compress the ball guideline or like the ball's flight, and we're going to land further back than where we aim. The intention here now is to bounce over the fringe, to not have the second bounce on or by the fringe, because there is a risk of getting a glitch roll there, which we obviously don't want to have. Spins will vary depending on if you have a tailwind, crosswind, or a headwind. And here I'm using as well one right spin, which in the end shows to be not needed, as we're gonna miss pretty decently on the right hand side. But this is a way of playing this hole that I do feel personally is a very interesting way of attacking the pin. But you have to obviously do a little bit better than what I'm doing there in terms of either to change the spins, either change the adjust or the elevation. But 20% elevation is the default elevation I'm going in with here on hole 7. On the drive here in hole number 8, we are playing the ball down the fairway and looking to be positioned in a very nice way to use our guardian on the second shot. Adjust max plus 10. Only using approximately 0.8 ball of right curl. You may wonder, why do I use both the right spin and the right curl? The reason for that is the slope on that fairway, because that slope on that fairway is pushing the ball a lot back to the left. So if we're not using the curl, we're going to force ourselves to land very, very close to the rough line with our first bounce, and that's not something I'm interested with. Second shot, you can decide to either go for a rough bump like this, or you go for, a backspin shot like this with our Guardian, which is the more conservative way of playing. We're using the slope there behind the pin to let the ball roll back into the hole. Or you go for a rough bump, which is that skinny rough that you have on top of the bunkers that is before the green. Now, I totally understand that players feel that that's a very aggressive way of playing, but if comparing this rollback play and the rough bump, then the rough bump is by far the easier way, not easier, but by far the best chance for a drop. But we're getting the rollback to drop, which is definitely not something that I expect to happen every time, but very nice when it happens. Hole number 9. This is a very long par 5, especially if we can't reach over to the fairway over that rough. And we can't do that if we're not having a decent tailwind combined with a topspin boost ball. So here we do lay up. I decided to choose to use a power 4 ball. And the reason for the power 4 ball is to give myself a little bit of an easier time on the second shot. But does this mean that you can't use a Kingmaker or like just a standard power 3 ball? You can most definitely use that. It's just gonna make the drive to have to a little bit longer, because obviously the lesser power we have, the lesser room we do also have in terms of how long we need to have the ball to roll there on the drive. So ultimately we do want to have the ball as close to the rough line possible, where you can, depending on ball power, have a little bit of leeway. Max plus 10 is the adjustment on the drive. Second shot we do play with no elevation, and it's max numbers because we are more or less always going to do from max line. I'm using the wood club that gives me the most power. In this instance, it's the Cat 7. Center the ball and it perfect, because this is not a shot that you want to take easy with either. So you do want, in this case, to make sure to be accurate here to give yourself a short iron towards the pin. Now I'm changing to the thorn here, and we're gonna not play for max on the approach. We're gonna play somewhere between min and mid, but we're gonna take the third video as well so we can watch that too, obviously. So there we go. The third shot is gonna be a short iron, like I mentioned. We are close to approximately mid distance, I would say, trying to build some sort of a reference with a pin check. But you can only imagine when you come to hole 9 and you need to get this one eagle to have a good spot in the tournament. That's a lot of pressure. And that's what makes this par 5 really difficult, as we are actually fighting here to get ourselves the eagle, and obviously in the easiest possible way. Having this type of wind on the approach gives us definitely some leeway in terms of faulty adjustments and such. But you have to be focused, you have to be correct with your adjustment and ball centering and pull angle and all those type of things. Otherwise, you're not going to drop this one for the eagle. But to end up here on hole number 9, you do have to play 3 shots more or less all the time on this hole if you can't use a very good ball to get over that long piece of rough that we do have there by the drive. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division. Here you have seen me playing all the holes in the tournament with various wins, giving you my best advice on how to crush the tournament. If you're looking for more content, you can find more free content here on YouTube, but also on our website, golfclashtommy.com. But for those of you that are looking to take that little extra step, look for our premium guides. You can find that on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You have the link in the description down below, or you scan the QR code here on the screen to go directly there. We do have packages that ranges all from $4 up to, whatever level you want to, and we do have premium guides for all the game modes. So, do yourself a favor, sign up, try for yourself, and see how we can help you improve and have more fun with this game. You don't have to be a top tier player to sign up, because we do have packages for all the players that are playing this game. So check it out and see for yourself. Thank you very much once again for watching this playthrough. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.